Good morning. Thank you, RSDSA, for allowing me and inviting me to come speak to you all today. There's some things that I'm going to go over. In the program, it says that I'm going to talk about support systems. Majority of the time, I'm going to talk about living positively with RSD and chronic pain, because I think that's an important topic and something that I am always asked. And so I find it necessary in optimizing the whole person. We get stuck in a rut. We get down in the dumps. And therefore, I think there are some tips that I can give to live positively. So at first, I'd like to ask, if you are an RSD warrior, please stand or raise your hand. Or your cane. All right. If you are a caregiver, please raise your hand. If you are a medical professional, please raise your hand. And lastly, if you are a family member, friend, student, please stand or raise your hand. Thank you. Lastly, if you are part of the RSDSA organization, please raise your hand or stand. Bob. All right. If this is the first time that you've ever been to an RSDSA event, I'd like to let you know that today is a pretty powerful moment. If you've never met anybody in the room and this is your first time, embrace it. Take as much information as in, network as much as you can, talk to people, ask questions, and I'm here too. So you can come to me and talk to me. Today I'm here to talk to you all about how to stay positive with living with CRPS RSD. You all might hear me say RSD a little bit more. That's just because that's how I was diagnosed, so I call it RSD more than CRPS. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about who I was prior to RSD, how I got through that terrible time of I was diagnosed and how do I get through it, and then I'm going to give you some tips of the trade. So first, let me tell you a little bit about myself if you all don't know who I am. I'm Heather. I was a tennis player for about 30 years. I nearly turned pro at the age of 14. Yes, I've played with the ones that are at the top of the list in the world. So that being said, at 14, I was, scooch this way. I'm not allowed to walk around. Sorry, y'all. So I'm not going to be walking around then. Anyway, I was a tennis player, and at 14, I started having terrible pain issues and problems. And I was asked by a professional tennis player who brought me over all the way to Florida to turn pro, and it was the day that he said, "You're going home or you're staying." And I was asked to stay, and I said, I think I want to go home and just play in college. So I came home, I went to school, played in college, did the whole thing, had three major shoulder surgeries, and then finally had multiple ankle surgeries and multiple surgeries ever since. So officially diagnosed for 15 years, going on 16, and I have been living with it. We've gone back in my medical records for 22 years as of diagnosis. I have done every single treatment known to mankind and others. I've done over 1,500 nerve blocks. I have done the ketamine infusions. I've done the LDN. I've done procedures that my doctors had made up for me. So I am living proof that I've been there and done that. So if anybody ever has a question, please come to me. I'm not a pro and I don't say I am, but I will give you what I've been through. So, however, what I learned is that I may have this disease, but this disease is not my life. It's my passion and now in my life to give back to this amazing community, but it doesn't run who I am. So, when I was first diagnosed, I was career-driven, I was married, I'm now divorced. And back in the early years, my dream team, and yes, they're still called that to this day, they're my dream team, basically said, "Heather, and I kid you not, you're a bitch, and you're not handling your pain very well." So they gave me an ultimatum and said, and I quote, "You either go to see a psych and get counseling, or we're dropping you. So rather than being dropped, I decided that I'd finally stop after months of fighting with them and go. So it is there that I did. We changed my negativity into positivity. We talked multiple times a week for 2+ years. So it was not an overnight cure for me to live positively. I'll call it that. We talked about my feelings toward life. Am I ever going to date again? I've got this chronic pain. Who's going to want to date somebody that's got chronic pain, right? You have all these negative feelings and thoughts in your head, and you go through it. How am I ever going to have sex again? Is it even possible? Yes, I said it. But she changed my mind and told me that RSD is not going to own me. We changed rather, I have RSD, and I have this illness, this is negative, all the negative thoughts and feelings that I had, and we turned that around with, I live with chronic pain, and I live with this disease. This disease does not run who I am. I live with it, but it is not me. She gave me small goals, day by day, and with that, it would be, maybe not snap at your caregivers so much. She gave me small little tidbits of, hey, if you're not feeling very good, maybe we should bring your parents in and have this discussion about what's a safe thing to talk about. What's something safe to say if someone's having a bad day? And the caregivers simply just don't understand at the beginning. They're in that fight with you as well. So at the beginning, they came in with me, and we discussed what a safe phrase for me was when I was having a bad day. And literally, it's, I'm having a bad day. And they get that. And they just leave me alone and let me be for the rest of the day. So we also talked about how I can manage a bad day. During the beginning, I know that I was snappy, and so each goal became easier and easier. Rather than saying, oh, waking up and I'm having a bad day, what did I do? I looked at how beautiful the outside was, even though I was stuck in bed. I was going multiple times to a doctor's office, and here I am. I'm now living at doctor's offices. That kind of sucks. And I don't want to. So how do I change that? And it's, well, do you get to go outside and leave the house for the day? Sure, absolutely. So small little goals that she instilled in me. But another turning point happened. She is not here. Sorry. I am a firm believer in God, but I am not a Bible thumper and not against anybody who is very religious. I have my own religion, my own belief system, etc. That said, I've always had a big mouth. That's what I've always been told. And my best friend Tiffany told me, Heather, you were given this illness for a reason. Go with it. God gave it to you. So I reflected on that and went, okay, I finished my master's, now what? I'm going to go get my doctorate. So I went and got my doctorate degree and just got it this year, in January of 2016. So I decided to lace up my boots per se, or put on my sandals. And I've always been asked about relationships and how to get through life, and I'm the advice queen, right? So I've said, well, why not? What can I give to my community and my warriors? That being said, through conducting my research, I was able to find some really interesting information. And my dissertation and my research and research to come was about support groups and what you can learn in support groups, especially online Facebook support groups. So here are some tips, because I have often heard doctors say, don't go to a support group. Don't talk to other people that have this. You're going to be misinformed. Well, sorry, docs. But in my research, and you can look it up, and it's free, you don't have to pay for it. And that being said, in my research, we learn more about this disease from one another than any of our medical professionals that have ever been seen by us. It's pretty strong. Take that in for a second. Secondly, I wake up every day with a smile on my face. I'm often asked, how do you do that? Well, I'm grateful to be alive. This disease has taken my life twice, literally. So every day I wake up and I go, thank you for another day. I push through the pain. I'm in my home. We don't really talk about pain. We don't give it a life. We don't breathe about it. We don't constantly talk about it. If I'm not feeling good, I'm not feeling good, and I don't seclude myself, but I just go away. To have that time to myself and be able to fight the pain. I also use distraction tools, as many of us do. I have my RSD best friends in the back, and we oftentimes are on late at night at 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning talking to each other to get us through our pain. And it's not normally, we typically go, oh, I'm hurting, I'm in bad shape, and then we turn it to something else and we distract ourselves. So, I would like you all to think about this. Since I am a professor, and I have my students in the back, have you all made it through your good days, my CRPSers, medical professionals, and caregivers? You've made it through your good days, right? Have you made it through your bad days? Yes. Congratulations, you have 100%. Keep going. Sometimes I'm even reminded as to how positive and strong I really am, because now to me it's natural. It's no longer I wake up and I've got to fight to be positive. I am human and I don't claim to be perfect, so I do have my days. However, what I find to be the most important is that you allow yourselves to have that bad moment and then move on. So I was at a conference recently and I was reminded by a mentor of mine. Her name is Dr. Anna Donaldson. And she told me that the first time she ever met me was at a residency for my PhD program. And she sat there and she saw a nurse actually come in, give me an emergency shot, and leave. And I did not leave that room. It was here in San Diego that the residency occurred. I didn't even remember that. But she tells that story to every single person that she ever meets. And then when she's introducing me, she's like, this is the girl I was telling you about. I'm like, oh gosh. So look at the little things in the day. Did you wake up? Did you get out of bed? Did you take a shower? Can you look outside and find something beautiful? Sure. Easier said than done, right? What does it smell like in your house? Can you stand the smell of a candle? What's comforting? Is your animal comforting? Is your husband comforting? Who's comforting, or what can be comforting around you? Again, set small goals. I have a friend of mine that I met through US Pain Foundation who suffers with CRPS as well. And she is a constant reminder that she sets small goals and then hits the big ones. So she just finished her first 5K last week. So, kudos to her. Rather than turning your pain and saying, oh, I've got a high pain day, we always have high pain days, right? Most of us do. So turn that high pain day around and tell yourself how you can make yourself have a better day. Find laughter. Find something to enjoy. There's health benefits. You have an increased lifespan. You can lower your rates of depression. You have greater resistance to common colds. You can reduce the risk of death. So I'm going to leave you with this couple of things. The only way to lessen pain's effect over your life is to experience it. I'm going to read that again so it marinates. The only way to lessen pain's effect over your life is to experience it. Lastly, I want you to be proud of yourself. Be proud that you made it here to San Diego. Be proud of your little goals that you accomplish every day. And in conclusion, you've heard a little bit about me, a little bit of how I was before RSD, how I stay positive and motivated, how I can smile, etc. And I'm going to tell you, to all the warriors, including the caregivers and medical professionals, to never, ever give up. Thank you.